I'm Mike Dimas, and this is Pinball Shenanigans. Yo, what's going on? It's Saturday, which means I'm going to tinker around in the basement for a little bit, but then Jay the neighbor and I are going over to our buddy Sean Russell's to play in a little, for fun, 13 player pinball tournament. First tournament in since, I don't know, year and a half or more. The last league was, league night was February of COVID, so what is that? March, April, May, June, July, August, yeah, about a year and a half. So a lot of the local shenaniganders will be there. Maybe I'll take a little bit of footage of the action. But I am going to see what I can do about Whirlwind. So I think I might be onto something. So I found the circuitry for the spinny wheels. All right. When I turn on the machine, they just keep going nonstop. I didn't used to have that issue. Now I do. Why? Very good question. But what I found is that it is controlled by a transistor, Q13, which is found on the sound overlay board, which I thought was kind of different. But so it's Q13, which is solenoid number 27. So I just went and turned on the machine just for fun to see if it would boot up for one, which it did, and the spinny wheels started going. Then I located Q13. There's the sound overlay board. Q13 is this guy right here. Can you see that? Q13 is right there. So what I did was disconnect the power going to the overlay soundboard, and as you can see, I'm in attract mode. Got displays. Everything is good to go. I'm booted up and the wheels aren't spinning, so that's something. So I'm gonna assume that Q13 somehow just died. I don't know why, but I think that's a tip 32. C? Tip 32? Hey, did it say over there? It didn't say over there, did it? But I'll have to determine. Those are the big transistors. I think I actually have a couple. So it might just be something as simple as that. I just need to find out. Solenoid number 27. There is a solenoid table somewhere. I think it might be at the top. Let's take a peek while we're here. What did I say? 27? Solenoid 27. Okay. Oh, here we go. It's probably going to be real close. Jumpers. There it is. Okay, solenoid number 27. Spin wheels. Motor. Sound overlay. 5, whatever that means. Gray, orange. Solenoid J2, solenoid J4-1, Q13. What's up? Is that the part number? Solenoid part number. Doesn't say what type of transistor it is, so I'll have to look at the schematics then. But 147955, we could look that up for fun. 7955, 7955. What happens if I plug that in? 14 minus 7955 is negative 7941. Oh, here we go. Action pinball. What is that gonna... Oh, that's the motor part number. Yeah, well, I don't need the motor. So, what I need to know is Q13. It's got a little 6 beside it. Here we go. Transistor designation. Refer to the sound overlay board parts. Okay. Well, might as well do this. Power supply. Okay, yeah, this should be it here. Power supply, auxiliary, audio, CPU, display, what? Triac board. Here it is, sound overlay board, Q13. What are you, Q13? Part number. Q13. Tip 36C. Boom. See that? I was right. Yay me. Okay. So I'm going to change that transistor. And I'm going to plug it back in and hope the wheels stop spinning. Let's try that. And see what happens. Oh, and the other good thing about kind of isolating the spinny wheels issue, I forgot to mention, is that, you know, if I only have to have the sound overlay board disconnected, I don't know what else it controls, but I can at least move forward with just thoroughly testing all the switches on the playfield, because I haven't even tested all my pop bumpers yet. Half of them didn't work. So now I should be able to access diagnostics and really thoroughly go through everything on the playfield, which means that I will be able to repopulate it. So I gotta get moving here. Okay, well, I've pulled the board and tested the transistor and the pre-driver transistor, and I can't find anything wrong with anything, so I was really hoping to find a bad transistor there. But I guess back to the drawing board on that thought. Okay, I was just going to give up for now on the spinny wheel issue and thought, hey, I'm going to troubleshoot the playfield now, because at least I can do that. So I lifted up this display panel, and as I was inserting it into the machine, the CPU crashed. So, WTF. I guess this could be a blessing in disguise. Maybe the display is pulling down my 5 volts. Maybe that's what it was all along. Maybe the display is on its way out and it's just drawing some higher current than it should. I don't know. But yeah, so I don't know. Let's see. Let's turn off the machine. Pull out the display cable. Turn on the machine. And yeah, so CPU has been crashed. Okay. I think I need to take another video here for Pinball Repair Help Group. Really document this so I don't forget exactly what's going on here, because this is ongoing, and eventually, if I am persistent enough, I will figure it out, hopefully. Okay, here's an update on my 5-volt situation. Today I turned on my machine and it booted up okay. As usual, with the current situation, my spinny wheels are locked on and just stay spinning. So I determined that the transistor that drives those is on the sound overlay board. So I disconnected it, turned on the machine, it booted up fine, and the spinny wheels did not continue spinning. So I just removed the sound overlay board to check on the transistors, and it tests fine, so does the pre-driver, but that's a separate issue. So I thought, I came back to the machine, it was still booted up, everything track mode, no problem. I was putting the speaker panel into the machine, and the CPU crashed. So I don't know if that was just a complete random coincidence, or the display speaker panel has something to do with the crashing of the CPU. So I just disconnected the display right here, powered the machine on, and it is still not booting up. So let's see what happens here. Let's remove the display and see if that does anything. No, it does not. Okay, so this is what I'm going to predict. I'm going to disconnect the CPU. Actually, let's just try this. Let's disconnect the CPU. No. Let me get my meter. Hold on. Okay, let's document this properly. Okay, so power on machine. Power, power, power. And I'm assuming we don't have anything. No. Millivoltage on the power supply. Now I'm going to predict I'm going to remove this connector on the CPU, and I'm going to have like a tiny bit of voltage. Then I'm going to remove the J1 on the power supply. I'm going to have my full voltage. Then I'm going to plug them both back in, and it's going to boot up. That's my prediction. Let's see what happens. Okay. Now I'm predicting that I'm going to have half a volt. .5 volts, okay? I had 0.5 volts, now I do not. Alright. For whatever reason, 0.5 volts is gone. Okay, now new female connector makes it a little difficult to remove. Okay, so now I predict my 5 volts will be perfectly fine. Okay, 5 volts, right? So now let's plug this connector back in. See what we got now? .5 volts. Now plug this back in. And I'm predicting that the machine is going to boot up now. And it does. It's making some weird noise though. Let's try and do that again. Maybe because the overlay board is disconnected? Okay, we're booted up again. Oh yeah, I won't have display because it's not plugged in. But let's plug it in. That's not it. I'm going to assume it'll be perfectly fine. Oh, look at that. Okay. So, maybe the display is it possible the display is pulling down the 5 volts? Let's disconnect that. Turn on the machine. Check this 5 volts again. So you've got nothing. So what the heck? Alright, let's disconnect this again. Okay. Powered on. Check the 5 volts. There's our 5 volts. Okay. Now, plug this guy back in. display is disconnected. But look at that, CPU did not boot up. Alright, so I can maybe wiggle these connectors a little bit. Oh, look at that. Wiggling that connector got it to boot up. It's interesting. Maybe it's something as simple as replacing those headers on the power supply. But anyway, you can see my frustration. I don't know, maybe I've solved the problem now, knowing to replace that header. I mean, that was on the list of things to do, but maybe this just confirms that that is all it is. But I don't know, man. What do you think? Let me know. Okay, I almost forgot where I left off because I took a video for a pinball repair group, and then while I was doing that, I don't know, maybe I'll include that video, maybe I won't. Maybe you'll find it interesting, but it might be pretty boring, so may not include it. But anyway, I always thought that my connectors could be an issue. That's why I reflowed them. As you can see, I've been messing with crap. There's some old pins. So I finally decided it's time to replace the J1 connector. That's the top left. So you can see there's the 5 volts there. That's the 5 volt test point right here. Let's do this. Okay, 5 volt test point right there. And it looks like pins 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 are all pertaining to the 5 volts. So I'm going to repin pins 7, 8, and 9 on my connector, although I've already done that. But there was a point when I was repinning that connector that I accidentally forgot the key, so I had to remove a few wires, about 5 of them, and then smooth them over one. So maybe the act of removing them and reconnecting them made them not quite as tight or something. But it doesn't hurt to repin the 3 5 volt on the female. New connector terminals on that guy, those guys. So that connector I replaced, and then the power going into the board, why not? The display I'm not having any issues with, I don't believe, so I'm not going to redo that connector, or am I? Nah, I don't think so. I don't think the display is really an issue, but who knows, it could be. I think I'm going to just start with this and cross my fingers. Okay, I gotta be quick. Jamie needs the computer up here for the slots. She wants to slot, and my laptop downstairs is updating. But check this out. So this is the power supply. This is the J1 connector here. So you can see this is 5 volts here, right here. CPU power. So maybe it's this very specific pin 6 that might be the issue. You know, maybe pin 6 all along has been the stubborn prick. So I'm going to repin 6, 7, 8, and 9 because I believe they are all tied to 5 volts, but especially pin 6. So that is what I am going to do. Well, it is official. TX has found a new home. It is going far, far away to the USA. As it turns out, it is a fellow shenanigander by the name of Max. He's going to drive about 9 hours or so and come check out the TX action. This is going to happen in 1 week. It's Saturday today. He's coming next Saturday. So, Max, I don't know if you're going to want to help me move this out of the basement, or maybe I'll enlist the help of my neighbor, but I think, yeah, we're gonna have to get it upstairs one way or another. But I got some strong boys if we need. But yes, I just thought I'd, play a quick game of TX here. I definitely gotta have a couple more games before it goes. I've had TX for several years now. I didn't really think I'd ever sell it. Oh, the side ramp shot. That's like the hardest shot in the game. But problem is space. I can't keep it all. I can't keep everything. You know, I'd like to. If I had space for like 50 machines, maybe 50. Then I'd be able to keep so many more cool machines that I've had. And who knows? Well, I guess the saving grace is that I do have a Project TX in storage, so I did put a lot of love and effort and energy and time into this one, and I don't know what the condition really of the other one is. I haven't really scrutinized it, but so I guess there's that. If I cry myself to sleep when it leaves, I can wake up knowing I've got one in storage. But yep, so Sayonara TX will be seeing you go bye-bye soon. Okay, moment of truth here. New headers, new female connector here. I repinned, let's zoom in here. The 4 gray wires are the 5-volt wires. I determined. These black ones are the 12-volt. Well, it says that right on there. No, they're the ground. Never mind. The top ones are the 12 volts. So the 2 black are -12. And the other ones are +12, at least 2 of them, maybe 3 of them. Probably 3 of them. So anyway, that's reconnected. CPU is back plugged in. I didn't replace the female connector here, but I've never had an issue with voltage going in. Have I? I don't know. Really, half the time I don't know what I'm talking about. All I know is that I'm expecting the machine to boot up. So let's see if I'm sorely disappointed. Alright, here we go. Oh my god, it didn't boot up. That is interesting. Okay. I guess I can rule out the connector. So, that's a little bit surprising. I thought that was going to boot up. Remember, I think before I pushed on these wires and I got it to boot up. Let's see if that happens again, because that's what made me think it was connector related. But I'm wiggling these wires and nothing is happening. Isn't that strange? Wow, okay, well, I guess I'm going to rule that out then. And bang my head off the wall a little bit more. Okay, here's a quick little update on my 5-volt intermittent issue. I just replaced J1 and J3 headers on the power supply. And I also repinned the 5-volt new terminals on the female connector for the 5 volts. There's the 4 gray wires that are responsible for 5 volts. I already had repinned those and redone them, but I redid them. Okay, so now I've got everything plugged in except for the display, and I have nothing at all. Millivolts. Okay, so now we're gonna go through the routine again. Unplug the CPU. I think I'm gonna have 0.5 volts. Yes, 0.5 volts. Okay, something else. This might, let's see, try this. Just gonna remove these connectors and soundboard. I think now I'm gonna have a little more voltage. 5 volts. I have 5 volts. Okay. This is so sporadic and intermittent, it just doesn't make any sense. Plug that back in. Okay, 0.44 volts. So let's try something else. Remove this. Actually, probably just leave that in there. And remove this. And 5.09 volts. Okay. Plug this back in. See what happens. 0.4 volts. Okay. Let's do one more thing. Ouch. Just the CPU disconnected and these connectors, soundboard, both soundboards disconnected. We got 5 volts again. Okay. So, note this. This connector are connected. CPU is not connected. And got 5 volts. Okay? That's why I don't think it was ever this connector. Well, actually, that's not true. But let's plug the CPU back in. And back to no voltage. 0.43 volts. So, does that make one think that it is the connector on the CPU? I mean, I haven't changed that header yet. I know I should and will. But does it not seem like something on the CPU is causing the drop in voltage? I don't know. Let me know what you think. Thank you. Okay, I think a day or two has passed since my last Whirlwind clip there. I've done lots of research and posting and talked to my board repair guy. Shout out to lots of people on Pinball Repair Help Group. Larry Hammer for one. Eden Stam, he always has something interesting to say about issues and always sniffing on the right track there. Larry Hammer has given me some pretty clear instructions to follow, and sounds like that the voltage regulator is the main suspect right now for my issue. I talked to my board repair guy. He said that he put this voltage regulator in a socket and that I could just gently pry it up with a screwdriver. So I was prying away. Obviously I removed the nuts and couldn't pry anything. So I'm like, what is going on here? I start to remove the big heatsink and I'm like, oh, the transistor is soldered directly to the board. There is no socket. So maybe my board guy thought he replaced it using a socket. I don't know if he replaced this or not, or if this is original. But I wonder if you can test these voltage regulators. Oops. Maybe like, they're basically just transistors, right? So I should test this actually. But what first I have to do is clip off the leads. Take off my elastic. Keep my elastic on there so I don't mess up my nice sharp blades. But okay, close your eyes everybody. Oh, that one went far. There we go. Okay, so that voltage regulator has been replaced. This is the original is or whatever is in there is a 6057. My board guy said a 6057 or a 59 is sufficient. I happen to have a couple of these guys. Boom. So we've got a 2N6059 in there right now. Yeah, let's test this. Let's do something interesting here. Let's grab one of these good ones and test it and compare it to one of the bad ones. Okay, let me grab my multimeter and maybe a tripod. Give me a moment here. Alright, can you see that okay? Let's throw this in diode test, and I'm guessing test the case like so. Put the lead on the case and then one on each leg. Yep, that looks good. And that looks good. Okay, let's try the opposite way just for fun. Nothing. Okay. So let's do the same to the one that was in there. Okay. Here we go. 476, 620. Yeah, that's unfortunate because that's testing good. If I'm doing it right, which I believe I am. Yep. Okay. 628 and 486. It's quite the range. 622. Yeah, but it's consistent. Okay, well, I thought that I was on to something, and just to satisfy mine and maybe your curiosity, let's test the bridge rectifier. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So here's the bridge right here. So this is ground here. So what you want to do is not put your ground lead on the ground. You want to do the opposite. On diode test again. So we put our positive here, and then we measure either side. 520. Uh-oh. That's not good. Oh, Eden Stam. Man, you might have been right all along. Why didn't I remember when you told me this a month ago? Okay, now we put the opposite lead here and measure again. Open. 5. Oh my gosh. This is actually great news and horrible news. It's great because I think we might have finally found the issue. 520 and open. Wait, no, I'm doing that wrong. Hold on. Let's see. Positive there. Open. 520. Yes. Now, negative here. 530. And open. Okay, this is actually really good news because I think that we finally found the issue. The bad news is that I did send out this board to my board repair guy, and I'm not sure what happened between him testing it and me testing it, but something. So I wasn't really suspecting that the board would have an issue. So that is partly why I chased my tail on this for like probably 10 hours. I've been working on this from the day one when I got the machine and I was having issues to now. Probably been working on this 10 hours between research, testing, replacing headers, replacing voltage regulators. So this voltage regulator is good. Whoa. So both these are going in my bag because I think they're fine. Uh-oh. So now I just got to find out, see if I have a proper bridge and then time to replace that. So I think after 10 hours we might finally be on the friggin' correct trail here. Okay, so got more horrible news. This is the bridge rectifier I removed. Okay, so let's test it. Good reading. Good reading. Good reading. Good reading. It tests perfectly fine. So here's a brand new one. So negative goes on the positive right here. See, that's good. That's good. That's good. And that's good. So, this tests perfectly fine. Isn't that fun? So, I'll change it anyway and see what happens. Okay, so I've replaced the bridge to 35 amp, 400 volt bridge. These schematics call for a 35 amp, 200 volt bridge, so you can go up in amperage and voltage apparently. Just on a side note, I wonder, like, that diode there, it doesn't look great, does it? It probably tests fine, but I don't know if it's part of the 5 volt circuit or not, but maybe I should just change that while I have this out. This is the bridge that I removed, and I think we already went through this, but I'm just going to do this one more time. Wait, this goes here. This is, okay, this bridge here is a 35 volt, 400 amp. So that means this was replaced at some point. I'm pretty sure my board guy did not do it because I don't remember reading that on the list. So probably because it tests good. It tests perfectly fine. The voltage regulator tests fine. The bridge tests fine. Everything tests fine. Why? Okay, wait. Actually, let's check the diode. I'm pretty sure I already did this, but okay, here we go. Should be same as the bridges, basically. 0 on one side and 0 on the other side. It's not what we want. Let's try this a little more. Yeah, man. Nothing there. And there we go. Yeah. Oh, here it is again. That. Oh, double whammy. Okay, that diode seems to test fine too. So, at a loss still for the 20 hours I've been working on this prior to sending the boards and after sending the boards. So, I'm going to plug it in and see if anything changes. So, who knows? Could have been just a crappy solder somewhere. I've checked the traces underneath the bridge. They're all fine. I checked the traces after installing this. Everything's fine. I don't think I did that. Maybe I did. I probably did. But let's try again for fun. Okay, so here's the regulator. That's fine. Here we go as well, here to these pins. And then ground goes to here. Looks like, okay, continuity's all good there. These go to this connector and pass through, but this is not populated. This J4 plug. It seems fine though. Ground passes through and then to this little IC chip. I don't imagine that's a problem, but who knows? So this should go to here. Okay, that's good. Alright, everything checks out. It looks perfect, but it's not. I'm gonna plug it in and see what happens. Alright, I've reinstalled the power supply. I plugged in the power and I got good 5 volts. Now, I plugged in the J1 connector. I left the displays out for now. And let's see if the CPU boots up. If not, then we can rule out the bridge and the voltage regulator. If it does boot up, then that might be good news until it crashes again, and then we'll have to figure out what next. So, here is the moment of truth. Nothing. Well, I guess it's not the bridge or the voltage regulator, which kind of makes sense because they tested fine. Huh, what a pain in the butt. Okay, I guess I'll do one more thing. Let's just see if we get the same exact symptoms. So, I hate doing this one-handed. Okay, I'm going to set you down. Okay. I can pretty much guarantee that we're going to have 5 volts, no problem. Let's connect this up here. Come on. Let's not touch metal on anything else, although that's just ground. And go to our DC voltage test right here for 5 volts. Uh-oh. Okay, that is reading, negative 5 volts because I got the leads reversed. Oh well. And that should be 12, and it is, 14 volts. So that's basically the exact same scenario that we had prior to changing those components. Yay, fun pinball stuff. Okay, so I might have a tiny bit of good news. I was just looking at all the connectors on the CPU and just trying to determine if I was missing something or what, but this is what I found. J121. That was not plugged in correctly. Okay, so just plug that in correct. And if you see that ribbon cable goes to the sound overlay board. What is on the sound overlay board? The transistor that controls the spinny discs. And when I pulled that board, the transistor tested fine, so it wasn't an electrical issue, it was a data issue. I was sending the wrong signal to the wrong something or other, crossing my signals and messing shit up, basically, is what it boils down to. So, I've reinstalled my sound overlay board. I'm pretty sure that we're going to be good on the spinny disc thing, because it did not do that when I was messing with the boards before, only did it after I reinstalled the CPU, and that's almost certainly the culprit there. So at least that's one good thing. So I think I'll finish on that note, and hopefully one day in the future I can show you more fun stuff like plastics instead of just staring at this effing power supply for 4 episodes. Thanks for watching.